Hi, Nina. Happy Thanksgiving week.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so excited to be joined with you today and see your pretty face. It's been since Austin that we've been in person.
That
And
was so much fun, by the way.
oh
So
my
much
God,
fun.
so much fun. We can never get enough of each other's company, let's face it, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. I wish we had longer. Next time we need a longer trip.
Yeah, we need like a week and then a week to detox.
Totally.
So I wanted to invite Nina back on to Opportunity Knocks. You all remember Nina was one of my earlier episodes. In fact, Opportunity Knocks was partially inspired by conversations I had with her. And Nina has her own podcast. It's called Nina's Got Good News. I met Nina through working on Beauty Counter because, like most entrepreneurs, we have lots of different revenue streams and lots of different amazing things that we all step into. And why did I want Nina to come back on? But what better way than when somebody interviews you to have a journalist interview you, somebody who's trained to ask pointed questions and who knows me pretty well for not knowing me that long. So I'm so grateful that you're here today and that you agreed to go ahead and drill me.
Oh my God, I know. It's like, let's play hardball, Michelle. Ready?
Right,
You
let's
ready?
go.
Can you handle this? Can you handle this?
I think I can do it.
I know. It's like back when I was interviewing like presidential candidates, and now here I am interviewing you. It's so fun, but it's good to wear different hats. And it's always good. I just love sharing stories, and sharing people and all the different things we can learn from each other. So it's just a different time in my life where I've gone from, that world to this world. But at the end of the day, it's always been my passion for interviewing interesting people and, telling interesting stories. And now I just want to share good news and good stories and positive things, because I think that's what people really need. And that's really something that's always filled me up, which is probably why you and I connected so much in the beginning.
Yeah, it's that whole positivity.
Yeah, we like that. That's what fills us up, especially as moms and as women. So anyway, thanks for being here. I'm so excited to ask you all the questions about you.
I could hardly
This
wait.
is so fun. But since the holidays are here, and a lot of us are thinking about what we're grateful for, I just want to start off and ask you, like, when you think inside, when you really like look in the mirror in the morning, what are you most grateful for right now in this moment in time? What are you most grateful for?
Thank you. That's such a great way to start, and a great space to just like open with like some reflection, right? And that one of the things about me is that I love to be reflective. I start my day and end my day that way. And as far as specifically gratitude, I really feel like I try to sit into every moment with gratitude. But the main thing that really comes up for me, especially given where we're at, and I was just thinking about it this morning, because as I told you before I got on the call, I just finished working out, and is health. And I shared with you that I just went to my sister's wedding, and it had been a little bit since I'd seen my dad. And I looked at him and I was like, wow, he looks older. And we have to constantly remind ourselves that we're actually aging too, right? Sometimes because we're so young at heart, like you and I are very young at heart, that, I thought, wait, I still see him as like when he was 50, not 85, right? And so for me, I think given everything that we've gone through in these last few years with COVID, I just like sat after my workout, and I did a double workout this morning, and I thought, I feel really blessed to be strong in my body, strong in my mind, and to have health, because health is wealth, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. It's so true. I think about that a lot too. So I think everyone should be thinking about being grateful for their health. But when we're thinking about gratitude, Michelle, just because I was watching this Instagram post that Oprah did, you and I love Oprah, of course, but
Oprah. We just love Oprah.
I know I just love her. I literally could listen to her all day. And then if I'm not listening to her, I want to listen to you. But
of course,
she was talking about journaling. She was talking about gratitude. So like, what does your practice of gratitude look like? Are you journaling? Are you doing something else? Some people, I write in I have this thing, the 5-minute journal. That's what I do.
I love that book.
But everyone kind of has their thing. So how do you do what does your gratitude practice look like?
I love that question. So for me, it actually starts before I even leave the bed. So I set an intention literally, and it comes from my subconscious, like whatever pops into my head, like that morning. Clearly it's usually something that probably I'm processing, right? But I literally lay in my bed and I call forward an intention for my day, right? And then I take that intention with me into my meditation and then into my workout. So there was a time where I was a huge journaler, and I do like to journal, and journaling comes in many different forms. I mean, I think sometimes people think, ooh, I have to dedicate that 10 minutes every morning and it feels super overwhelming. But I think really what you're asking is, what is the successful structure that works for me? And I'm a huge structure person. Because people, I think, ask it often, like, how do you get everything that you do done in a day? But if I didn't set a successful structure, I wouldn't be able to get it done. So starting with that intention, I think for a year during COVID, I was calling in abundance. And I wasn't talking about the word abundance as far as financial abundance necessarily. It was looking for abundance of joy, abundance of happiness, abundance of health, abundance of gratitude, whatever it might have been that was coming forward for me during COVID times. And as you know, there were so many negative vibrations that we could have drawn from, but we really tried to stay within the positive side. And that didn't mean that we didn't feel. We felt, and there was certainly a component where I remember in March when I flew for the first time, I just started bawling because I had been holding this space of positivity and strength, but not sitting enough into the feeling of the loss that we had for 2 years practically, right? So for me, it starts with an intention. So in the morning, for example, before I even leave for my workout, I do my meditation before then. So I set an intention. It's usually based on a word. Then I use that word to then pull whatever meditation is going to come forward. I use Insight Timer, or sometimes I just sit in silence. I do a Japanese tea ceremony once a week, which is a silent meditation where I sit in silence and drink tea, and then in community with the person that I do this tea ceremony with. Sometimes there's multiple women, sometimes it's just me and this person who serves. And I basically sit into that and process through many things in silence that I have experienced for the week. I do that every Friday. And then from that intention and from the meditation, I mean, I'm a lister for sure. It doesn't mean that it's like a journal, it's I keep a notebook, and that, still today, every day. And generally, again, because for me, everything starts with inspiration. So it's I'm very aesthetically motivated. So it's this one says, find joy wherever you are. Right. And it's I can't every single one of them has something that's super inspiring. So what I would say to you is, it starts with those little moments that we basically incorporate into our daily lives that then help with the manifestation process of bringing your subconscious to a conscious level that bring your goals to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
And all those small things add up to big things. So
yeah. And I end my day also with gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it's it's a bookend for me.
Yeah.
Even if I get into a fight or a disagreement with my husband that night, I try to find the positive components or the lessons, the learnings that then I can apply for future days.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Chris. We love you, Chris.
Love you, Chris.
Love you, Chris. Okay, so Michelle, you wear so many hats, right? As a wife to Chris, a mom of your 3 beautiful girls, an entrepreneur, an amazing coach. You know, you're doing so many things, right? You're juggling so much. But right now, what would you say is your biggest challenge?
Clarity on growth. Does that make
What does that
sense?
mean? What does that mean?
Thank you for getting clear or clarity on that. Play on words. So what does that mean? So because I'm a manifester, and as you said, because I wear so many hats, and you and I know think very clearly, very similarly this way. We chose not to be in high intensity work environments, which frankly we thrive in, because we have a family and our family is our priority, right? So I've had conversations through the months where I've received amazing full-time job offers, which are always full-time plus, because for us, no matter what we do, we put in 150% effort. So I always have to be careful of what I'm calling in. What do I want to achieve currently right now in my life? So I'm a yes person. And so in which case I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's try that. Yeah, I would love to help you with that. Well, then you manifest all this, or you bring all this abundance, to use the intention that I was calling in, into your life. But what can you really do to the level that you want to accomplish it, right? And so when I say clarity around growth, it's like, well, okay, how lucky are you? It's not even luck. How amazing is it that you have created this community and that you have these amazing clients that are manifesting change and that you get to work alongside of them? How great is it that you have this podcast? Oh, and then you can help somebody with marketing consulting too, because you have that expertise. But where do you want your focus to be, right? They all integrate, and we know that, you and I know that, but like, I believe that I can't be amazing at everything, and I think sometimes right now in the coaching world or in the consulting world, you're expected to be like, I have my course and I have this and I have that and content. But whatever happened to the high touch from people? It, like, not like a big octopus everywhere, but like high touch. Like, I'm present for you to help you get to your goal. Is that enough? So that's the question, the inquiry that I've been asking myself is, you want to grow personally, spiritually, emotionally, business, career. Where's the investment? Like, and I think I come from a more intuitive standpoint. Like, there was a time in my life where I would seek, like where I'd be like, oh, and I'm still a seeker, but it'd be like targeted. Like, I want to work at Mattel. I want to work at Disney. I don't have that. I'm like, oh, I want to work alongside with Peloton or, but I'm not like, oh, I want to go work there. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't want to work in their corporate offices. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, but I do want to be part of the growth potential, working alongside with people and with companies, because I do feel like I have a lot of amazing skills that I apply in that way. And I see the difference I make. I see the wisdom that when you're younger, you don't have that.
Yeah, I know, because
That makes sense?
yes. Yeah, we're much wiser now, older and wiser.
Yeah, which is why we don't want the job there.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yes.
true, right? And we like
Yeah.
the freedom and the flexibility that we have, and we don't want to
Yeah.
give that up. We don't want to give that up.
I was looking at a post from an entrepreneur last week, and she wrote, it was like a TikTok she was doing. And she was like, I became an entrepreneur because I want flexibility, but she was making fun of, it was like a pun on
Yeah.
like, yeah, well, you say you want to be flexible. Well, let's be realistic. You can't really be flexible as an entrepreneur. But I disagree. I think what we're really saying is like, yes, of course, if you really want to make money and, manifest everything, yes, work is an intense amount of hours. However, you can choose if you want to go to your kids' performance.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose how many hours you're going to invest today. You have a little bit more say and control in your hours.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Oh my gosh. So what would you say, Michelle, what would you say right now is, what's your biggest strength and what's your biggest weakness right now?
Right now in this
moment. I used to ask this, by the way, when I was interviewing people for jobs, when I was working in news and I was running my own show, I'd ask them, I'd be like, what's your biggest strength and your biggest weakness? They'd always be like, I have a lot of strengths. I don't have any weaknesses. So give us the real. Give us the real.
I'm like, I have a lot of weaknesses. My biggest strength is interconnected community and building community. And when I say interconnected, it's like I have a gift for being the connector, like being the, building community and being the connector. And I love it. Like I love to pick somebody's brain. It's the best thing ever to meet someone and just want to know their life story. Like for me, that's where it all comes from. And I think people that are my close friends and people who haven't even known me that long, just see that essence in me. But friends who have known me for a long time will be like, oh my God, she's going to go and talk to that person for like hours and get to know their life story. And then they'll come back and they'll make fun of me like, oh, so what's their name? And I'm like, I can't remember their name, but I'll tell you everything about their family. But I just spent 3 hours with them because I was so focused on them that I was like, what did they say their name was? Okay. And then, so I think that's a really big one. I think that I love intuition too. Like, so that's another really great strength of mine is that, and that became super re-heightened and reactivated after I left the corporate world. And I really allowed that to really guide me as my compass. I would say that on the weakness side, I've gotten way better about boundaries, but because I'm like super empathetic and I'm a feeler, I sometimes feel bad for people and I let people into my world that maybe I don't have time for, and they are under the impression that the investment in the relationship is greater than I am capable of. So then I disappoint people because I want to be nice, And
yeah, sometimes
for me, I'm the weirder somebody is, the nicer I get. Yeah. And then I'd say actually a weakness on the business side is, because I think it's important to look at that as an entrepreneur, is so one of my strengths is definitely like I'm a strategist, I'm a visionary. I love to ideate and build concepts and the process of building a brand and all that I love that, right? The negative is like, and it's a necessity with entrepreneurship, is like looking at your finances, running projections. So this is where, like, when we were in the corporate world, we had a team and we loved relying on our finance people and our business development people.
Yeah, because guess what? We do not like numbers, sister. No.
It's not, no. And I had a friend who asked me recently, like, so you're like, you don't like numbers. I'm like, no. Want me like being your finance person. That's no, not no.
Yeah. And you're like, and your banker does not want me in the finance.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Although I have said this, I do think that I could have been like not in banking, but like on the sales side of it.
Yes. Yeah. We
Yeah.
like sales. We
Yeah,
like that part of numbers. We like
exactly.
sales.
It's the people.
So Michelle, when people look at your bio, look at your resume, and they Google you,
Mhm.
they see that you were named as the top 1% transformational coach, which I'm so impressed by that, as we've talked about. I think it's so amazing.
Thank
And
you.
I always, I'm always trying to push you to like promote that more. But it is on your it is on your Instagram bio, but I think you should, give yourself a lot of kudos and promote that a little bit more. I just want to like shout it from the rooftops
Thank
that
you.
that I'm so proud of my friend. But
Mm.
when you were named that, how did that make you feel?
Thank you for asking that. So I think part of, again, I'm going to give perspective because I think you mentioned something that's really important to talk about. So owning yourself is such a big thing, right? And I think about this related to like Empower Purpose, or when we were Empower LA. I could have been Michelle Valenzuela Wolf, the coach, right? Like, which many coaches are like, you're like, and you're almost, it's almost suggested that you lead with your name. Then people like relate to you. I've always thought about it going back to like, what's my strength? It's the community. And so part of it may be like, oh, you have a hard time owning yourself. Part of it also might be, well, I've always been a collaborator and a builder of a team. Like, I've always been about the collective group of us succeeding together. And I have always said, and you know this about me with Beauty Counter, because it was like, my mentor would be like, you don't need to coach as much. But see, for me, it's about we all win together. And seeing each person in the team at their greatest value, including myself, right? But when I received that naming or award or whatever it might be, I felt seen. And oh, it's funny. My shirt says, I see you.
I see you.
Funny. So I felt seen. And I think that, when you work in the corporate world and you get promoted and you make more money, those are ways of measuring your success, right? When I became a coach, I remember years ago, so this goes back to measuring where you want your growth to go, that I was like, why are there, so remember, this is 20 years ago. So there were no female mainstream coach role models. The coach role models back then were like Louise Hay. Mel Robbins is still around, but she was not as big back then, but it was like, they were more like spiritual, right? They were like a spiritual, kind of coach. But back then, that Tony Robbins was like huge, and I was like, I want to be the female Tony Robbins. Like, that was like, I'm going to work with Tony Robbins and I'm going to get mentored by him. And then I'm going to end up like doing something like that. Right. I never worked with him. I looked into it. I was like, oh, he's in San Diego. Now he has coaches everywhere. But I think I felt seen. Like, at the end of the day, like, there is this, like, as women, we need to learn to own ourselves and to sell ourselves and to accept the beautiful gifts that we have and to bring them forward in a humble way. So you're not the first person that has mentioned that you didn't know. Or I'm a part of this other women's entrepreneur group. It's not a formal one, but like, there's a lot of very accomplished, successful women in that group. And the woman, Katie Shin, who formed it, we had an event when COVID was just opening, and she's like, and I want everybody to know that Michelle is the top 1% coach. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe she's saying that out loud. Like, why, from a marketing standpoint, I totally get why you need to say it. And I get why you need to own it, embody it, feel it, know it. But the humble part of me and the little girl, right, is like, ooh, like, and I think it's the responsibility of like, oh, you better show up. But then the reality, that's fear. We know that's fear, right? But the reality of the person is really like, oh yeah, I show up for you full heartedly. We're in this together.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get you to your goal. I have no doubt that if you choose me as your coach, we will help you transform your life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say. It was kind of a long answer. But
no, I think it's great. It's so good. So you mentioned Tony Robbins, you mentioned Mel Robbins. So who is it that you look up to right now in your career? Who is it that you look up to? Obviously we mentioned Oprah before, but do you look up to Oprah? Like, do you idolize like Brene Brown? Do you idolize Oprah, Mel Robbins, Glennon Doyle?
Yeah, I love Glennon Doyle. I think it's an interesting question because I don't like to use the word idolize, right?
Right.
I feel
Maybe
like
just look up to who do you?
Yeah, like, or even, yeah, like I had a client who I saw at a party recently and she was like, oh, this is my guru. And I was like, that's weird, but again, that goes back to owning yourself, right? So
yeah.
Who I would say definitely Brene Brown. I mean,
yeah,
without a doubt. And honestly, like I love Tony Robbins. I love Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's super motivational for me. I actually love Mel Robbins. I love Louise Hay. I love Wayne Dyer, like some of these people who have passed, I love Brew Joy, Dr. Brew Joy, who also passed. But a lot of the people that I became a coach under, they integrated metaphysics with psychology, right? And so I love a lot of those people, and they've propelled me to be better people and to move forward and to continue to challenge myself in my personal growth and my weaknesses and show my strengths. So yeah. And in fact, actually, I would say it's still like, and I haven't, again, like put enough effort in this way because I know that it's a choice. It's like, where do you invest your time? It's still a goal of mine to work underneath somebody like that. Like, remember the coach that Greg hires? Why am I forgetting his name right now? But anyways.
Yeah, he was amazing.
He is amazing. And I actually wrote him after one of our big boondoggles. And I was like, I want to work with you. You know who else who's not a coach, but I find her is Sarah Blakely.
Oh, I love her. Gosh, I love her. Yep.
And part of it, what we're tapping into with a lot of these people, the characteristics. They're real. They give real world guidance. And they're not playing a game.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of charlatans out there and a lot of people that are just like over glorified influencers or, and I love that they show up like as themselves. They're not looking to be like, it's like today I was like, oh my God, I just finished working out. I haven't had time to do my hair or anything, but oh well. Who cares?
Real. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just throw on some Sarah, throw on some Spanx from Sarah.
Yeah.
Good to go. Exactly. Well, so Michelle, I like to hear the pulse of the people. I think that's so important. So what are you hearing right now from women? What are you hearing from your clients? What are you hearing from women that you're working with? Give us the pulse of the people. What are the trends you're seeing? What are you hearing? What are they telling you? What's on their minds?
So in this time of the Great Resignation, I think that
it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
Really real. And I have to say, as a coach, I'm so grateful to see this happening. And I was at the early stages of that, like I was in my mid 30s when I decided, and I didn't have children yet, or I was almost mid 30s. I didn't have children yet, and I chose to leave the corporate world as I was still climbing, and I was a hopeful for sure, and I could have very easily continued on that path, but again, being in alignment with your values, and what I see is that these women are seeking, they're really wanting to step into what is important to them, and getting in alignment with not just their values, but with their purpose. Like, what is it that I'm meant to do on this earth? Am I meant to serve? And if I am meant to serve, what is the body of people that I'm supposed to be serving? Right. So it is a real thing, this great resignation. And I feel like, I mean, maybe it's because I focus on female entrepreneurs, but there are certainly people that I'm working with that are not entrepreneurs, but that's their long range plan. I think also we know in coaching, some of the other things is people are moving to more digital courses, and it's going to remain digital. But what I love to see also that's happening is that coaches are being required to be certified. And, a lot of people out there call themselves a coach and then question whether or not they should be spending the 25 grand or whatever it is that you might spend to become a coach. But I think there's a reason you become certified or an expert in anything. And so that's what I would talk about that. I think the other thing that I love that's happening in coaching right now is the intersection and integration of alternative modalities with your coaching. So
what does that mean?
So like in the past, like I could do chakra cleansings. I'm certified in Reiki. I'm certified in the Enneagram, which became a mainstream personality tool. Like, again, 15 years ago, people didn't know about the Enneagram and they thought it was sort of out there, right? Also yoga and meditation, like these modalities that were not mainstream. And I love the fact that like people are seeking ways of self-care to integrate it. Like, so that's the whole thing about EmpowHer. It's like, it's the integration between business and wellness. Mm-hmm. It's not just, you cannot have a whole person without seeking some of these things. We need mind, body, spirit connection. And so in the past, people would come to you for coaching, especially when I used to do executive coaching. It was all about their career. And I'm like, well, wait, what about all this whole other part of your life that we need to integrate? And they would always be resistant. So I see people showing up as themselves in all environments, because people are still working from home, right? Mm-hmm. But they're not with their, coworkers, right? So they're actually like the integration of like their dog being in their Zooms, or their kids walking through, like all of the honest truths of the integration of your whole life has become real. And then the necessity to go back to like what we were talking about in the beginning of building a structure so that you have like, you can be whole, because people are broken right now. Everybody is still detoxifying from what they're pulling out of, and the stress that we all felt and still continue to feel, fear of like, going back to like, what is my biggest thing I'm grateful for is health. Well, because people are still worried in the back of their head, like, oh, well, what if I did get COVID and I passed, or whatever it might be, Mm-hmm. So that's what those are some of the main things that I've been seeing in my practice. And it's bringing me so much joy working with people right now. I just see they really want to create change, which is what coaching is all about,
Right. And if someone's coming to you now and talking about a new opportunity, what's your best advice for all of us when a new opportunity is in front of us? Not all those opportunities are the right opportunity. So what's your best advice on advising us whether or not an opportunity is actually the right fit or not right now? How do you tell? How can you tell?
Well, I love that. So again, I mean, the first point for me is always being clear with your values, right? Your values are not just words. Your values are what we are governed to live by through our choice, right? They're innate and inherent within you. But I think often what happens is people just pick a bunch of random words that might inspire them, but they're not really clear. And it's a whole process, as you know, because you work with me, on getting clear on your values, right? So if you are making choice from your value set, right, then having a list of criteria on how to evaluate your opportunity, right, which usually comes in 8 different categorical areas that you evaluate opportunity or choice or change from, then you could be more clear about whether or not it's the right fit for you. And I really say that because fit is, you're interviewing the person, or you're interviewing the opportunity, or evaluating the opportunity, as much as whatever the opportunity is evaluating you, right? And so let's take case in point, the opportunity I was given last year to work for a company, which was an amazing opportunity. It could have been so lucrative for me. And I really had to say to myself, is this what you really want? And let's face it, as women, if you've left the workforce earlier, or if you chose to stay at a certain level because you wanted to be more present at home with your children, or maybe you didn't have children, but you kind of like I had a client last week tell me that she was lazy. I'm like, you're not lazy. You're just actually choosing that you'd rather have stability. That's the word, is stability, right? So for me, I was like really debating, because I was like, I really was wanting to, it was my ego being like, oh, you can make all this money right now. Commit to this for like five years and you can make a shitload of money. And then I was like, but do you care about that? Is that what you really want? That's your ego talking. Like, that you could say, you built this thing and look at the success. Success comes from within, right? Like, I feel successful every day, whatever task I put forward, right? But that's because I choose to feel that way. I choose to have confidence in my choices of where I want to go, right? So I think that it's really important that you get clear on your values, and your values are different than your family values. And then establishing a criteria list based on these 8 different categorical areas to say, like, is this what I want? And being honest. And look, if you need to make the money or whatever it is, then that's a whole other story. Then money may rank higher for you at this time.
Yeah.
Or maybe, like for me, environment, to your point, plays such a big role. Like, who am I working with? Like, do I connect with them? Is their mission on par with what I want to create in my life? Like, does it provide me peace, joy, happiness? Yeah, I have all those other ones: determination, resilience, inspiration. But then there's this whole other part of me that at this stage in my life, I want joy.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, so Michelle, let's talk about 2022. What's next for you in 2022?
Yeah.
What do you, other than Gabby, your amazing daughter, going to college, right? Leaving you for college, which, by the way, congratulations to her.
Thank you.
I know you're so proud. We talked about it and it's so awesome, about where she's going to college. So other than Gabby leaving you and going to college, she's flying the coop.
I can't believe it.
What else is in store for 2022 for you?
Okay, I love this question. There's like 4 main things. Okay, so there's all the stuff that you see. I want to continue coaching amazingly motivated people who want to create change or want to establish a business, right? That's business coaching, marketing, consulting. They're different, but they integrate. Okay, I'm going to continue with the podcast. I get so inspired by interviewing amazing female entrepreneurs, and I learned so much from their journey. That is like so close to my heart. But there's these 4 other things that have been pending for a while. The first of which is, I have these values cards. They're around here somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love those cards.
Thank you. It's an amazing game. It helps you get clear on your value set. It works best, obviously, when I coach someone through it. However, people could play it on their own as well. I have wanted to recreate them. I have a new design. I just have not invested in the printing of them. And that is a whole other job, as you know, product development, having come from that world. So that's been a question for me, an inquiry, like, okay, well, you need to reproduce them anyways, because I have literally 1 box left. So I have to reproduce them. I was waiting because of trademark stuff. I have the clearance. So that's one thing. Okay. Because I could see it be big. And I see it as part of my portfolio.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Part of who I am. And so one thing people have been like, that's like amazing.
Yeah.
So, okay, values cards. I want to do an anthology on the podcast, a book. So a book anthology on the podcast. There's a book called In the Company of Women that I see it sort of modeled after, where I'm taking, and I could see it be a sequel in a series because there's so many people that I've interviewed. I could even do a segmentation strategy on it if I wanted. So that's another thing. But as you know, that's like another big project. Okay. I'm listing them. The third thing, which is also big, but has a finite time to it, is a TEDx talk. Okay.
Yes.
And I had started the process of preparing for a TEDx talk and writing my outline with my coach. His name is Dr. James Owens. He's a friend of mine. He's prepared many people for TED Talks, but he also was the person that actually came to me 4 years ago and said, I used to be on the board of his nonprofit. I was his marketing chair. He basically was like, I had a dream about you last night. And I dreamt that I was prepping you for a TEDx talk, and he's super spiritual. And I was like, all right, you just want my money. Like, you don't really want me to, and he was like, no, I'm serious. And I was like, okay, well, we'll think about it. I'll get back to you. I wasn't ready. So then a couple years went by and he said, Michelle, I had another dream about you. He's like, I'm telling you, I prep these people that have way less experience than you, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I just see it. I really see it. So we started the process like a month ago. We put it on hold. He just had a baby. So it's going to come. It's coming back. And I started in one direction, to be clear. I was looking at the direction of relevance, right? Relevance for women, but relevance actually touches like so many people, it's for the young too. Because if we don't continue to be relevant in this world, generationally, then who are we? How do we show up? How do we continue to grow? But relevance actually intersects with opportunities. And, opportunities is one of my key buzzwords. Obviously, it's my podcast, Opportunity Knocks. So I see the book and the TED Talk and the whole thing. I see the integration of it all happening. It's just a matter like, how's it all going to get done? So
there's not enough time. And then what's your fourth? That was 3.
Yeah. So the fourth is actually, so when I first launched EmpowHer and I was doing all the women's groups, all the workshops, everything, and retreats, I kind of tabled the retreats. However, what I see happening now with EmpowHer is moving to destination-based retreats with an integration between spirituality and business for female entrepreneurs. I see doing a smaller retreat. I haven't announced it yet, but it'll be likely like the week before Mother's Day, but it'll be in California. Because I think right now, I'd like to be in Mexico or different places, but I think a lot of people are not fully ready to travel. But I do believe that if you build it, it comes. Meaning like if I did it in Mexico, I'm sure I could get the people that I need to do it. So that's
right.
those are the 4 main things that I'm sort of evaluating. They're different though.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah. Those are amazing. 4 big ones.
Yeah. It's going to be a big year. I can feel it.
I know. I can feel it too for you. Wow. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I feel
And
it's
then,
both of us.
and you have to drive Gabby to school.
Exactly. Yeah. But then there's the 2 others.
Oh my gosh. So exciting. Okay. Well, Michelle, this was so fun. Do you think you survived the hardball questions with me or what?
Yeah, I did. That was so
crushed
fun.
them.
I have to say,
Still in awe about 2022. I'm like, oh my God.
yeah,
I'm so
I know.
excited.
Well, you'll have to see, look at, for me, I believe that there are pointed goals and then there are goals that are a moving target for date.
Mhm.
And I believe once I actually announce it, it becomes real.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't have to all happen this year.
All at once. Right. And it
Yeah.
all doesn't have to happen all at once.
Yeah.
Like on January 1st, it doesn't all have to be coming together like that day. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe,
And I also think for you, one thing is going to, it's all like you said, a lot of them are tied together.
Yes.
So it's going to, it's all going to flow, I think, really, really well.
I think
I'm so excited about the value cards. I love those so much.
Yeah, I am too.
That's also amazing.
I feel like that feels right. I've sat for a while,
totally.
and I just think if they don't come alive, I'd be missing something.
Yeah,
fully come alive.
Totally.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Well, thanks for letting me interview you, Michelle.
Well, I love you so
fun,
much. And I'm so
I love
grateful.
you too.
So grateful for this time, and I know that there'll just be more fun between us and continued reflection, and also like continued like championing of one another.
Yes, right. Cheerleading, I call it.
Yeah, that's what we do best. All right. Well, tune in